Hey, how's everybody's day going? How's everyone's 2 weeks going? Now, the 5 people that listen to this realized I didn't do a podcast last week, and I apologize. I will explain later in the podcast. This is going to be the Chase Carter Concept Podcast. That was not a smooth transition. That was not a smooth intro. I understand. September 15th, Tuesday. Let's get into it. So I'm going to talk about, first 20 minutes, I want to talk about what I did over the week, family stuff, helping my dad move, funny little tidbits of information. I like using the word tidbits. Tidbits? Is it tidbits or titbits? Tidbits. Say this with a tid, a D. And then I want to get into basketball, what's going on there. Video game stories with my girlfriend. Came back. There was a Sea of Thieves update, new mission, some updates planned with my girlfriend. She was very happy that I came back home, and not the fact that she got to see me. It's the fact that she got her Sea of Thieves partner back, and now she can go on her wild adventures. And I also bought a dog, which lets me. Okay, I want to explain something. My mom she has a dog named Sarah. I have a friend named. I have 2 friends named Sarah. My girlfriend knows and has met one of my friends named Sarah. My mom's dog is named Sarah. My mom has to take the dog Sarah to the vet. So we all meet up. My mom takes the dog with her to meet up with me and my girlfriend. So she meets the dog Sarah. Then, in the video game Sea of Thieves, you can have pets, and they just introduced dogs. You can have dogs. The other pets are parrots, monkeys, and cats. Pardon me. Parrots, monkeys, and cats. And so I buy a dog, and the only kind of dog I like is, it looks like the dog Sarah we have, is this brown dog. This big brown dog. So I buy a big brown dog in the Sea of Thieves game. I name it Sarah. And so my girlfriend in the video game walks up to it and pets it. And in the game, it shows the dog's name, like Pet Sarah. And it's like, oh, you named it after your friend. And she's like, well, next time I see her, I'm going to have to tell her you named a dog after her in the video game. And I'm like, no, you just met the dog this is named after. Yesterday. Remember that big brown dog Sarah my mom had who was limping around because she tore her ACL? Yeah, same dog. Looks exactly the same. I'm not going to name a dog after my friend. Now, I did name my other pet Benji, who's after my friend, but it's this little albino monkey, and I named him Benji. Hilarious pet name. See, after just missing the podcast for a week, I feel weird talking. It's kind of an interesting side note. Now, so over the course, my dad is selling his house, and I already discussed about that in my previous podcast. I went down there for a week, helping him move. Just all of his stuff. He has a 3-bedroom house. He has a second garage, and that garage has not an attic, but like rafters, and all of that is filled up with stuff from my grandmother and him, and just family in general. And so helping him move, he needed help. He couldn't do all that stuff himself. He's 85. He was born in 1935. So, yeah. 2020, yeah. 85. So, he needs my help him. It was kind of emotional seeing all my grandmother's old stuff. But got through it without crying. good for me. The time I got the most emotional is looking at his new house. And I was just like, in my head, I'm thinking, like, why here? But he's closer to his friends. And by closer, I mean an 8-minute drive closer. And there's just some things I just vehemently disagree with. Not only is he taking a house his mother built and land that he owns, acres of land, multiple, not like, 20 or 30 acres, but it's like 4 or 5 acres he has there, and selling it for a senior citizen, like, gated in community home that has no land, no storage, and no anything. And something interesting my brother said, he's like, well, it's becoming too hard for him to manage this place. And in my head, I'm like, what? He's still going to have to manage his home. They don't take care of that place by themselves. Like, what does he do? He's not a farmer. He's not working the land. He's not, he doesn't have animals to take care of. He pays a cleaning lady once a month to come in, clean his house. My brother, if anything goes wrong, he has to climb up on the... if anything, he has to go up on, like, say his swamp cooler breaks or the air conditioning doesn't work. He has to climb up on the roof. We used to climb up on the roof to help him. And we're not there anymore. And I'm thinking, well, if there's issues with his new house, he's not climbing up on that roof either. So he's just going to have to pay somebody. Now, like, more land, more issues. I get that. But he lives out in the middle of the desert. He's not working the land. He's not doing these things. So what does he need to do? A 3-bedroom house. Granted, I know he doesn't need that much space. But he can, as long as he can afford living there, and it's not taking a toll on him financially. But he owns the house. He's not making payments on that. So I'm just trying to, like, wrap my head around it's getting too much for him. Because all the reasons, I was going to say excuses, the reasons he's saying he's moving is just, it's getting too much. It's, for my health and all these other things. And I'm like, well, people, if you have an issue and need medical attention, the people can still drive to your house. You don't live, on top of a mountain. So there's just all of these different reasons. But, like, he just wants to move close to his friend that he has and who lives in that area. And that's fine, but that wasn't the reason that he gave. He just gave all of these other reasons. It's becoming, it's expensive to upkeep a house. He has to redo the floors. The floors are fine. They creak a little bit. They creaked when I lived there as a little kid. They're going to still creak. So, like, they're fine. Is someone falling through the floor? No, the floors don't need to get done. But this new place, he's going to want things. He's going to want a swamp cooler added. Doesn't have a swamp cooler. I heard the countertops are crap. So he's going to have different countertops put in. So I'm like, you're still going to have to do stuff to this new place. So why not do stuff to the place you have now? That's more expensive. That's worth more. By far. So I just don't know. I don't get it. But it was nice helping him move, I guess. Again, it's cool to see all of the old stuff and all the memories. I found a lot of WWF wrestlers and accessories that I'm like, ooh. I'm going to sell these I'm going to have fun selling them on YouTube one day, and I can set up the wrestlers like they're in a fight, take multiple pictures. I'm going to go way too into it. It'll be my last time probably with the wrestlers ever. And so I wish they had, I wish I was young now and I collected wrestlers now, because I used to put on the best action figure shows. I used to turn all the lights off and then play the entrances on videotape. But then I had a stereo, so I played the music on the stereo, And then so like Triple H had all these lights that would fly, like red, green, blah, blah, whatever. I didn't have the light set up, so I used to just play the TV, and I put the TV volume down. And so I had the lights from the TV, and then I had the music playing, all that, whatever. So I had little blood packets. When they got hit in the head, they would have blood on them. It had storylines. I had interviews. I had like 2 matches, then a backstage segment. And if I would have, the creativity I would have had, who knows? There's videos of people opening up. There's kids who have YouTube channels that just open presents up. I'm putting on shows when I was little. And by little, I mean probably middle school. I would say high school, but that's embarrassing. I don't know if I played with wrestlers in high school. But it was just, I wanted to be a pro wrestler. And so like putting on the match, putting on those shows, it was kind of like an outlet for me before I could actually train. And then once I started to train to become a professional wrestler, I realized how difficult and grueling that was. And I was like, no, I'm not. I don't want my body to be broken when I'm 40 and 50. Have you seen old wrestlers walk around? They can barely move. So just helping my dad. Was cool. Crawled around in the rafters, got all this stuff down. I'm talking like there's cool old medical supplies from the military. There was pictures of my grandmother's old husbands. She has 3 husbands. They all died. Now this is where things get. I love how stories of your family get misconstrued because all the people are kind of old, and all the people who can tell them are old and forgetful. So my dad told me his original dad died at like 35, 36, and he was an alcoholic. And he's like, "Well, how did he die so young?" He was a drunk. He was a drinker. I'm like, well, that doesn't really explain how he died at 35, but my mom said she heard that it was tuberculosis. So I'm like, okay, so why is that? And then I asked my dad what his father's name was, and they called him Kim, or for Kimball. But apparently his name was George Kimball, and that's where my dad gets his name from. My dad didn't remember that, which was interesting. So there's all these little things that my dad is being forgetful of, and we're looking at him like, are you okay? We get, like, you forget stuff, but you shouldn't forget your father's name. Like he never met his dad died when he was young. So maybe it was my grandmother just calling him Kim as like a nickname instead of George, because his name is George. And then if you are telling a story to a George and then say George, but talking about another George, it could get confusing. So maybe my grandmother just said Kimball or Kim. And then, years of that, my dad just forgot the man's name was George. And then also my dad, he drinks these Rockstar energy drinks. And I want to say about 2 years ago, year and a half ago, he found a case of these old energy drinks. I had a whole case of them. And he started drinking. He's like, oh, these taste pretty good. Whatever. We had this conversation I put them in my grandmother's old closet just for storage because I didn't know where else to put them. And he's like, yeah, I drank some. I'm like, you drank? These are a year. The energy drinks were 5 years, 6 years old at the time, 7 years. I bought them a long time ago. Completely forgot about them. They had dust on them. A thick layer of dust. And he's drinking these in. I was like, Dad, these aren't. I should have thrown them out. But he's like, no, these are pretty good. I have them after a workout. But he's drinking energy drinks after a workout. Not before. Is when you're supposed to you have an energy drink. And so I brought up that my dad's having these heart. He has to be on blood thinners. His heart is beating irregularly. And me and my sister-in-law think it's because of, everybody else thinks that it doesn't help that he drinks he has these energy drinks. And so he has all these aluminum cans, right? And so I tell him, I was like, Dad, you started drinking energy drinks by that case in the closet, those little small cans. And he goes, I only drink Rockstar. Rockstar's the only energy I drink. And he got a little defensive about it. And so my dad wanted to do the recycling cans. So we take the recycling cans to the recycling place. We unload them. Guess what? Energy drinks, multiple, not 2 or 3, dozens, because I had dozens of these energy drinks. I forget the name. I want to say Ensure, but that's not the energy drink. Or Infuse or something. I forget what kind of energy drinks. I bought them off a friend. I didn't like the. I should have drank them before I bought them. I want to say 20, 21 years old, 22 when I bought these. And so I was like, Dad, these are the energy drinks he's like, you drank they're all his thing. Only he lives at his house. So it's Diet Cokes, it's Rockstar energy drinks, and it's these little infused energy drinks, boosters or whatever. And so he looks at the can and goes, it must have been Leonard or Chandra that brought these over. And there are dozens of them. Leonard and Chandra do not come over that often. And they do not bring energy drinks over to the house. I'm like, Dad, you drank these. These were in a case in my closet. He picks the can up, doesn't remember it, and kind of tosses it into the recycling bin and goes, I never drank these, and got kind of upset. And I'm like, I was like, okay, it doesn't matter. These are all your cans. These are all yours. I was like, remember the story I told you 2 days ago about those little cans? They just popped up. This is what police would call evidence. And I'm pretty sure if DNA still exists on them, they would find yours and not Chandra. But evidence, that doesn't matter. I talked to you about these drinks, and you said you don't have any recollection of it. And then 2 days later, we're going through your recyclables, and dozens of these cans pop out of the bags. And it's like, I can see 1 or 2. Chandra came over, my brother came over, family members, whatever. But dozens? That sounds like you. That's like saying I'm the one who drank all these Diet Cokes. I don't drink Diet Coke. I was like, Leonard doesn't have energy drinks. And he wouldn't drink off-brand. He would drink the whatever's at the firehouse or whatever. So it's just real weird that he's forgetting these little things. Granted, he's 85 years old. I mean, I forget where I put my keys, so who knows? But it's just weird. My dad has always been, I don't know, rememberable. He was always able to pick up on stuff. To see him kind of forgetting stuff or whatever, it's a little like, oh, he's fine. At 85, he's finally slowing down. Still works out 3 times a day. Or 3 times a week, excuse me. And so my sister is over helping out. And there's something my sister does, and I did not realize it till right now, that's funny, but also extremely annoying. She talks like a baby. She's in her 60s. She's as old as my mother, which is creepy. Good for my dad, but gross. So my sister calls my dad daddy. And that's really weird for a 60-year-old, to me, to call her father daddy. Oh, daddy, come here. And all this, I don't know what it is. It's probably my issue. I'm pretty sure it's my issue, but it's just off-putting. That's all I'm going to say. Just a little off-putting. And then when she says she was talking about snacks, getting a snack. I was like, oh, do you want a snack? That's how a normal person would say it. But she said, snacky wackies. You're going to go fix yourself a snacky wacky? What grown person? In my head, I'm just like looking, I'm like, what? I'm going to go get a little energy bar. something, a Nutri-Valley, whatever, Natural Valley, whatever you call it, Fig Newton, something. Not a snacky, wacky. You're not. I'm 34. I forgot how old I was. I was going to say 35. I think my girlfriend just turned 35. I didn't turn 35. But what person speaks like this? And I think it's just maybe because she has grandkids and she's always hanging around her grandkids. Her grandkids are little. Maybe. I don't know. My mother has her little grandbaby she talks to. And, kids around the neighborhood come over to her house and they're little. And she switches it up. Little kid words will pop into normal conversation, but she'll recognize it and kind of go, what the hell am I talking about? But it's just, and they're the same age. So, so it was a good overall trip. Had a good time seeing my sister, my dad, my father, brothers. Didn't get in any gaming over that week. So when I finally got home to play Sea of Thieves, it was fun. I was trying to get my friend Ray to play Sea of Thieves, but he never does. Piece of crap. I do want to talk about one of my friends. I don't check my phone often. I have all the notifications turned off. I hate going to sleep, and then at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you receive a notification on your phone or a text message. So the only thing I can hear is phone calls if somebody calls me. So I'm assuming if it's an emergency, people are going to call. Well, one of my friends sends me these text messages that my girlfriend just texted me, can I watch some of the Celtics games with you? Since they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. It's like, no. You fall asleep during basketball. No. You're not invading every part of my life. So I get a text message at 1:09 in the morning. I get it now. I'm just not close enough or anything like to be challenged. I know nothing. It's actually all my fault. Laughing my ass off. I didn't know that. I guess I deserve loneliness. You have it all, Chase, LOL. I get it now. Really, I do. I don't deserve anything, LOL. No one fucking cares. Goodbye, Chase. That was at 1:09 in the morning. Then at 1:10, I love you, man. 1:11, LOL, goodbye, exclamation mark, LOL. And I'm only laughing because he's fine. These sound like he's going to commit suicide. Then at 1:20, LOL, people say they care. They have no idea what it's like to lose someone close. He lost his brother. And that's terrible. But it sounds like he's drinking and getting overly emotional. And then at 1:21, there's 3 text messages back to back. Yeah, fuck off. I've been drinking. There wasn't anything else to do. No one gives a fuck, LOL. Good luck, Chase. So happy you actually found someone. Talking about my girlfriend. And he could find someone just as easy. He'd have to work out and, not be fat, but you have to put effort into things. And it says, I'll just drive myself home on my motorcycle. Not like anyone cares, LOL. And then it says, shh, don't tell my parents at 1:22. And I saw this that day, but at 6 o'clock at night. So I don't check my phone. So it got me thinking maybe I should put my text messages back on. But he got an Uber, which was fine. He said his ex said some crap to him the other day that upset him. So he got upset and went to a bar to drink and then got even more alone, more depressed, more sad. And it's upsetting that he let somebody else affect the way he feels about himself. And that's very difficult to try to avoid. But if someone who you aren't with, like you were in a relationship, you were married, and you're broken up now, getting a divorce, you're still going to let that person affect your mood? You know that person has shown themselves multiple times not to be the person that you like or want to be around. And then you put stock into what they feel or how they think. You don't want this person in your life anymore. So who really cares about their opinion? Do they make, great decisions in their life? No, they don't. So who cares what they have to? Is that person rich and successful and is happy? Not even rich and successful. Make good, healthy decisions in their lives? No. Then who cares about their advice? Are they a mentor? Are they someone you aspire to be? No and no. And then also, if you're sad, don't drink. I don't understand these people that go to bar. They're sad. They're, I can see if you have a rough day and you want to have a few to take the edge off, watch some football, whatever. Play video games. I never understood how people play video games drunk or drinking. I have a few friends online who get hammered while playing games. I was like, I want to be focused. I'm not that good in general, but I don't want my reactions to be slower. Now, granted, could I have a better time? Possibly. I don't know. Would I maybe yell at my girlfriend more? Video game yell at my girlfriend more? Probably. But I just didn't understand that mindset. Because he's kind of like always down on himself. He doesn't like the way he looks. He's getting a little overweight. And he says he doesn't care, but he always brings it up. So I'm like, well, if you didn't care, why you keep bringing it up? And this is something you can fix. Your weight is something you can fix. So I don't get it. And so, like when I wake up in the morning, I go for a jog or a walk just to get, that's the first, before I eat, I don't get to do anything. I get up and I go do something. I go work out. And it just, before work, you get up and you go work out. So it just doesn't make any sense. You start your day off with something difficult and the rest of the day is easy. And that's how it works for me. Now, it might not work for everybody else, might not work for him. But if you're not happy with your life or happy with certain parts of it, you can make small little incremental changes. And then over the course of time, that will put you in a completely different destination. So I don't know. I wish I can help him, but I think he's one of those people, like even with his finances, he was living paycheck to paycheck. And I'm always someone who saved 70% of what they had. I never lived beyond my means. And so if an emergency happened, I could, get a car or whatever. I can buy this, I can buy that. And even then, I still had family that would help out, that would help me. And that's a huge benefit to have. And I feel very lucky. But even if I didn't have them, I would figure out a way to, because I lived rent-free a big portion of my life. And so, which is also kind of funny, because when you join the military, they're like, become a man, become a man, learn how to do your own things. And then all of the actual life decisions, they do for you. So room and board, they basically take out of your paycheck and they put you basically in a hotel room with another person. That you don't have to pay for electricity. You don't have to pay for, gas anything, water, any of that stuff. The only thing you have to pay for is your cell phone bill, if you have one, and which everybody does. So you have to pay for your cell phone bill and your internet, and that's it. Those are only two bills you really have to pay for. And if you wanted to, you didn't have to pay for internet because they offer free Wi-Fi at the it's MR something. I forget. Why is that blanking on me right now? Anyways, they have these little hubs for video games, pool, little hangout sections. And it's kind of funny. I always thought that was funny in the military. We're going to make you more responsible by, and then you get out in the real world and you're like, what are all these bills? It's just like a little funny, I don't know, way of looking at stuff. So, where was I? I got off on a tangent. Where was I? I apologize. Yeah, so my friend, he's just kind of like a little part of his life. He feels lost, but he's not looking at I think he's only focusing on the negative parts of his life, which if we all do, our life sucks. If you think about, if you're Jeff Bezos and you're a billionaire, the negative parts of his life are, I'm going to die. I created all this wealth and I'm just going to live to be 80, 90 years old. And he can see and do anything this world has to offer. There's nothing left. Nothing left. And so you look at it from that point of view, he can afford anything. So if he's like, there's nothing left of this world. Oh my God, I've done everything. I can do whatever I want. You can look at it that, or you can look at the positive. I've done everything in the world. This is awesome. Then now let's go to space. And that's what Elon Musk is doing. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to find out what's on Mars. But I don't know if that was a really good analogy, I guess. But he's focusing on the things he doesn't have. And I think he should focus on the things he does have. He has his own place. He's living by himself. He isn't living with his parents anymore, which is what he was doing years and years ago. He's not in the military anymore. He got out of the military. He hated being in the military. He isn't with somebody who he doesn't like, isn't compatible with. He's single. He has his own place. He has a motorcycle. He can afford pretty much any video game he wants, any form of entertainment he desires. He doesn't have a kid dragging him down, and that's what kids do. He's not addicted to drugs besides drinking. I think drinking is an issue, but he's not like doing cocaine or heroin or meth. And so, in all actuality, he's doing fine. He's doing fine. Is he a little overweight? Yeah, but work out a little bit. Stop eating garbage food. It's real simple. And if you get your metabolism up, you can eat more garbage food. Hey, all you fatties out there. And by fatties, I completely mean to disrespect you. No, I'm just kidding. So when you're fat, your metabolism slows down. So you gain even more weight the more you eat. If you work out a little bit, God forbid you get up and move around, it kicks your metabolism up. So you can eat more. You want to have a pizza. I ate a pizza. For 2 or 3 days, I had pizza, burgers, pasta. I didn't drink. No, I did, and I had a few beers. I came home and weighed myself, lost 4 pounds because I was still running. Lightly jogging. I would say jogging. My knees, I can't really run anymore. My knees are bugging. Are bugging me in my feet. My plantar fasciitis. Lightly jog, walk miles a day. And my knees hurt, my ankles hurt, my bottom of my foot feels like I'm stepping on pins sometimes. But I know if I don't do this, other parts of my body are going to start failing. So just Work out and you don't have to go run a marathon. Run a mile. A mile. It's not that hard. It takes 10 minutes. And just walk it, and then slowly jog it, and then run it. Like you can sprint a quarter of it and then jog the rest of the way. Keep your heart rate up. It's real simple. It's not difficult. It's not a mystery. Oh, what do you do? I like to do different things. My girlfriend, she's like, oh, I like to mix it up, do different workouts. I get bored. But that's just an excuse you have in your head. Work out. Get your heart rate up. I want to do something fun. Working out isn't fun to most people. It's the feeling you get afterwards of that satisfaction of getting something done. She pays this monthly fee to get this workout from this Hannah Burrow girl, this hot Instagram girl. She's not an Instagram girl. She's a hot Instagram girl. And she has these she has these like daily workouts where someone else, tells you to work out. And I've never been a workout with somebody or a guide with somebody kind of thing. It does help like within competition. If you're, say, doing sprints or whatever. I remember in high school when I played basketball, when I would do sprints or suicide by myself, I wouldn't run as hard because there was no one I'm competing with. I would think I'm running hard, but you're not running hard. You have to have someone there pushing you. But I don't know. The whole like getting in shape, working out, feeling negative about yourself because of that's something you can change. It's real simple. Living paycheck to paycheck, something you can change. It's very easy to change it. Just live within your means. If you can't afford an apartment, rent a room. Rent a room for a couple $100. Save up enough money. Progress in your education, progress in your school to where your job to where you can afford an apartment by yourself, and then slowly integrate up. And that's why another thing is like parents shouldn't. I have had this argument before. Parents shouldn't sell their homes or sell all their assets. Now, if your kid's like an asshole, and a screw up, then yes, don't leave him or her anything. But just having a place to live is such a huge that the family owns is such a huge benefit to have that someone could live in. Like when my dad goes, I'm gonna have a third of his house, which was at like $300,000. So I'm gonna have $100,000 from my dad. Guess what I would rather have? A house. I'd rather, especially my grandmother's house. I'd rather have a house with land on it that I own that I don't have to pay a mortgage on. I'm just going to have $100,000 now. That doesn't mean anything. I can go earn $100,000. Guess what I can't earn? The house I grew up in. Can't earn that. So now I'm going to have to start all over. Like the most important thing you can leave your kids is a place they could live and stay in if things go south. Like a global pandemic happens. And we all have to, come together and support each other. But no. That kind of thought process doesn't make sense to some people. It's like a person is born, grows up, works hard, buys a house. They get older. They want to see the world. They want to travel. Hey, guess what? If you go to Kentucky, there's still going to be the same damn Applebee's in Kentucky. If you go to Florida, there's still going to be the same shit. It's the same people. Ooh, they eat different. There's a fried Oreo here or whatever. They're going to eat a little bit differently. Big whoop. Looks the same. Stop selling the property you have and the houses you have to go send out your golden years on the road. Have you seen become a truck driver? Truck drivers get to see the whole continental United States. Is it great? No, because everywhere is the same. Oh, they drive a little bit different here. Oh, they got roundabouts here. So cool. They got different animals over here. Now, if you want to go visit those places, I'm not saying you can't go visit. I'm not saying you shouldn't go travel. But I'm saying to sell the place that your kids, who by the way didn't ask to be born, that was your selfish decision to have kids or to not pull out, to accidentally have kids. So you want to put your kids in the best situation to not suffer. Leave them your house. Leave them multiple houses. Now, if they're good kids, if they're, like I said before, if they're douchebags, leave them a little bit so they don't starve. But if they're good kids, leave them your things. Don't sell off your house or sell off all of your property or whatever. So they have, even if you give them all of the money, that doesn't mean anything. The money part doesn't mean anything. Like I forget, like my mom said, it's not my responsibility to make sure you have a house or you have any. I was like, so when you're like in my head as a hypothetical parent, this kid's whole life and their whole existence is going to be centered about, obviously how they act and how they grow and how they become a person. But it's also, I'm there to help and support them. So I better have my shit together before I have kids. That way I can handle having a kid, raising a kid. And if that kid has some financial emergency, they can come back and live with me. I'm there as a safety net for the people I created. And that's what I should always be. I'm a parent. I'm a guardian of this person. Your guardianship, so to speak, doesn't stop because they're older and they can take care of themselves. You're always there just in case. Now you don't stop living your life, obviously. You have your own life. But if worse comes to worse, you have a foundation, a place that the whole family could come to, if need be. A safe haven. That's what I'm thinking. And that's what I plan on doing if I ever have kids, anyway. Or even leaving my nephew's stuff. My brother's kids. If my brother loses his firefighting job for some reason, then he's going to lose his house. Where are they going to stay? They can't stay with my dad now. He lives in an old folks' place. Not an old folks' home, but an old folk community. Now, it's my brother's responsibility to keep his job and to... I'm just saying, worst comes to worst. He gets in a car accident and he can't... Whatever. He's paralyzed. Whatever you have. There's no fallback. And maybe I'm just using that as an excuse. I don't know. Chase, what are you talking about? I have no idea. So, parents, be guardians. That's my overall consensus. Now, I want to talk about sports. Basketball. It's getting interesting right now. Tonight is Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals. The Denver Nuggets have forced another Game 7, which is interesting. I picked the Clippers, obviously, to win. I think, obviously they're the more talented team. That's not even a question. But it's really interesting that these playoffs, in particular the bubble, has this weird effect on a lot of people. So it's not a normal season. We're not going to get the normal number one seeds playing better than the lower seeds. And it's just it's cool seeing these players who maybe have taken the time off more seriously, who worked on their games, flourish. I like seeing the Miami Heat beat the Bucks. I like the Toronto Raptors basically 0.5 seconds away from being down 3-0, forcing a Game 7. It's like 2-1. Oh, they messed up. Now it's 2-2. Oh, we lost, Game 5. Now it's 3-5. Now it's 3-2. Oh, we're going to win Game 6. And then we're going to have a close Game 7. And then the Denver Nuggets could have lost to the Utah Jazz. That game went 7. And then it was Mike Conley had a shot at the buzzer to put him away. And it went in and out. And so we wouldn't even be in this situation possibly Utah and the Clippers playing. So there's all these different cool scenarios. But it should be fun to watch that game tonight. Another thing, I tried to watch the Patriots game. My girlfriend's a Patriots fan. It was on CBS. I signed in. I pay for cable. Well, I don't pay for cable. I know someone who pays for cable in a certain area, and I have their password. And so I try to sign on to CBS Sports, and it would not let me watch that game. That game was on national television on CBS. Not just like in the local area, and it would not let me watch it. So I'm like, why? I'd be so mad if that was actually my cable provider. Because you're supposed to, if you buy cable, they give you a little email and password to all the different apps you can use on your phone. So if you're traveling or vacationing somewhere, you can still watch your shows, your live TV. Why buy cable? And this is why like a lot of illegal streaming goes on. People are like, oh, why does? Because they black out things in your area. They blacked out a Laker game in this area. They black out Laker games. LA is 2 hours north of me. So when they black out that stuff, they want you to go to the games. Why am I'm not going to drive 2 hours to watch a Laker game. And by the way, the Laker game was in Orlando in the bubble. It wasn't even a local game. So what? What? That's not how this should be. Now I can buy NBA TV, pay $200 or whatever crazy it is. But just, I don't know. It just makes me not want to watch. Besides all of everything is political stuff. Like sports is a escape from the everyday, the terrible things going on every day. I thought it was funny that when they linked arms at the football game, they booed, and people took that as an issue with race. It's like, no, you're missing the point. They want to watch football and only football. Stop making political. Everyone's overly sensitive right now. Stop making political statements during a sporting event all the time. Everything isn't political. Everything isn't. Everything, like in normal society it is. Everything's going to be turned political or whatever. But can we just watch the best athletes in the world throw a football around and not have to worry about police brutality or the systemic racism? Can we? And people don't even agree that systemic racism exists. It existed, but doesn't exist anymore. And I see arguments on both sides. I'm like, I don't know who, because they're both making valid points in a lot of instances. But when you see these people upset about a shooting, and the guy had a knife and is charging at the police with a knife, there's just one that happened just recently, and there were riots over it. Cops shoot. It was unarmed black man, and then the police released the video. It's like, no, he's not armed. He was charging the police officer with a knife in his hand. In a stabbing serial killer motion. If there's any time for the police officer to shoot somebody, it's why didn't you de-escalate the situation? I have no experience as a police officer. I'm going to tell you how you should do your job. And then the police, it was so funny. The police arrested some reporter who was right next to the police officers. And I guess the statement that they made on Twitter wasn't 100% factually accurate. And they're like, the police lied about this instance. I was like, they just got some of the facts wrong. It wasn't like a deliberate, this reporter was filming someone being arrested, and she was within arm's reach of these police officers during riots, during unlawful protests. They weren't allowed to be there because a protest you have to get a permit from the city. And then these protesters are blocking emergency vehicles entrances and exits from this hospital. There's videos of the protesters wanting the police to die that were shot just sitting in a squad car. And it's like, you're supporting these people? Now, the reporter who got arrested shouldn't have been arrested, but she's right next to the police. She's within, she could, if she had a weapon, she could, they don't know who she is. It's like, oh, she had press credentials on her neck. The police say it was like a work ID. Had nothing, it was no, and even then, how do they know that that's real? I'm on the side of the police officers who are protecting society and its citizens. Granted, they have done wrong things. They're human beings. They're going to do wrong things. When we weed that out, we can slowly weed that out. But we're not going to just start attacking police officers willy-nilly. We can't, well, what are you doing? There's one, I'm jumping around. Saw this other video of this, I think it was a black lady, but it was this weirdly shot video where you couldn't see the woman, but this woman was on the left side of the screen yelling. All you saw was like her shirt. Was yelling at the cops, just derogatory stuff. It's like, hey, you have to leave this area. Get out of here. You're not allowed to. You're illegally protesting. And she said, F you, all this shit, and then spit on the police officers. And that's a form of assault. So the police officers grabbed her and put her on the ground and arrested her. And one of her friends was, oh my God, what are you doing? Why are you? She did this. She did this. It's like these people are spoiled. It sounds a lot like the spoiled bratty kids that were given everything in life, talking to an adult that gave them all those things. It's like, why are you acting this way? You're upset. I get it. But this is not, it seems like this disconnect from reality. You're not allowed to just yell at police officers and you think everything's going to be okay. You can't yell at anybody and then spit on them, assault them, and then you think they're not going to do anything back to you. You're antagonizing somebody. And once you spit on a police officer, game over. You're going to jail. You're going to be arrested. Oh, you want to see how the system works? Now you're locked in the system. Guess who doesn't complain about police officers? People who mind their own business and obey the law. Guess the kind of people who usually complain about the cops? Criminals. I said usually. I said usually. There needs to be law and order. There needs to be. And we got about 7 minutes left. I want to talk about this weird thing that happened in the NBA. Steve Nash got hired as the Brooklyn Nets head coach. Now, Steve Nash has 18 years of NBA experience. He was arguably one of the best point guards of all time. Led the league in assists multiple years. Amazing shooter. Led his team to multiple Western Conference Finals appearances. Ran into the Lakers. Ran into the Spurs dynasty. Those two dynasties. But was always competitive. Always one of the best point guards in the league. Had command of his team. He was basically. I'm gonna say basically again. He was a second head coach. He was a head coach on the floor, just how Chauncey Billups was, just how Magic Johnson, all these NBA players who thought the game on a different level. LeBron James. You have a person running the team on the court. So it's because if you watch the game like from a fan's perspective, you're looking at it through a different lens than the players do. The players are on the court, and then the coaches are on the sideline. They see the game through a whole different, and then the refs see. Everyone has their different perspective, and so he gets a head coaching job because he's good friends with their best player Kevin Durant, and he's good friends with their general manager. I think it's Sean Marks. They were former teammates. So he has all these relationships with these players. And so Stephen A. Smith went on and said this is white privilege. There are no black head coaches that would get this position. And there are multiple, because there were multiple black head coaches that were hired as head coaches that weren't assistant coaches, that basically skipped the line, as they say. Because all great players, Hall of Fame players, can skip. That's their credentials are what they did in the league. It's not like they just hired some white guy who, coached high school over these black assistants. That's not what happened. Steve Nash is one of the top 50 greatest players of all time. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame, 2-time MVP. He can coach whatever he wants to coach if he wants to coach. People are going to hire him. People are going to want to pick his brain. And not only because he has good relationships with your best player. Nobody else has that relationship with Kevin Durant that has the credentials of a Steve Nash. And people bring up Mark Jackson, former player, and all these different black head coaches that got head coaching jobs. And then Stephen A. kind of changed his tune and said it's a championship contender right out of the gate. First of all, we don't know how Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant are going to play together. We think they're going to be good, but remember a year ago in Boston, they thought they were a title contender, and they weren't. We don't know how these things are going to come out. So it's a prize job. Stephen A. Smith said there are no black head coaches that have gotten that job in the past, that have gotten title contenders, like an open spot on a title contender, a head coaching job. And then Jay Williams asked him, well, how many of those jobs have ever existed? Not a lot of those jobs get presented like this, are open. And he said, well, I don't know. He said, what did he say? He said, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at it. Well, if you don't know and you don't have like factual evidence, like multiple instances, if this is the first time ever that 2 of the top 15 players are on a team and then the head coaching job opens up, you can bring up Kobe and Shaq with Phil Jackson. But Kobe wasn't Kobe then. He was younger. They didn't know Kobe was going to be Kobe, besides Jerry West, apparently. But even Golden State, when they won their first championship with Steve Kerr, they knew they were going to be good, but they didn't think they were going to be this dynasty. After they won the championship, people were saying it was luck that all the teams that they faced in the playoffs were injured. And then they came out and won 73-9 the next year. They didn't win the championship, but they were one of the all-time great teams. Then they got Kevin Durant, and it was pretty much over after that. But it's this weird way to look at it where you're looking for racism. And you're not, just because a white guy got hired. So now we're going to shy away from hiring people based on their color of their skin. I don't get that point of view. Steve Nash deserves a chance to coach in this league. Deserves to, 100%. And I don't understand the racist claim that this is white privilege. This is white privilege, y'all. This is what it is. I will continue to say it. And I don't care. It's like you just admitted you don't know of any other circumstances where a championship, quote unquote, championship level team had a head coaching opening. Elton Brand runs the Philadelphia 76ers. He said no front office experience. He's black. He got hired. Magic Johnson, head coach. It didn't go well. He quit. Then the Lakers hired him back to be one of the front office people, president of basketball operations or whatever. Had no experience doing that. Larry Bird, he's white. He was a head coach. Had no experience. Was one of the the NBA Coach of the Year. Then became an executive of the year. Had no experience. It works out. Sometimes it doesn't. It has nothing to do with race. Jason Kidd. He's a black head coach. He's mixed. I don't know what Jason Kidd is. He's mixed everything. He was hired as a head coach multiple times on multiple teams without, and he was hired on I think it was the Nets with no job experience, or the Bucks. Bucks or the Nets, one of the two. I keep getting he's a head coach on my career on the Nets. I keep getting real life and the NBA 2K game mixed up in my head. But it's these kind of call-outs that people make, and then they wonder why people boo when they link arms in solidarity. It's like, we're tired of your shit. We're tired of this. Not everything is about race. And when you make everything about race, we're not going to watch. If everything is a political statement in basketball, I'm going to go somewhere. People are going to go, me included, are going to go watch other forms of entertainment that don't have that stuff in there. It's like when they put like an all, like it feels very unnatural. Like if they put like an all women's, which is good. They make all women's movies. With like they made Ghostbusters with all women. People are like, well, no, we're for women having their chance and everything, but when it's overly done, when it feels disingenuous, people can kind of pick up on that. And they're like, oh no, they're just making that movie because men were in it, and men are, we're anti-men right now, so we're going to put all women in it. Or in Marvel, when they do all shots of like all the women characters all together. And it's like, why even do that? Why just have all the characters together? Have it be like feel more natural. Yes, we should include everybody, but we shouldn't make women's movies just to make women's movies because it feels unnatural. Now, if you're, I don't know, it comes off as fake. It comes off as pandering, and I think a lot of people can kind of sniff that out. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm making sense right now. But, yeah, I was just flabbergasted by this. It's like Steve Nash's MVPs don't matter. His 18 years as a point guard in the NBA. Now, there's a point guard privilege because it seems like point guards are the ones getting these coaching positions. Chauncey Billups has been looked at, and he hasn't found the right place, the right fit. Because he's not going to just join a garbage team and be a head coach to be a head coach. And he shouldn't. Because he's earned that by being an NBA champion. By playing in the league, 15 years or whatever. I don't know. It's just... But these guys, I think they just say stuff to get noticed, to get clicks, to get viewers, instead of being authentic. And real, that's what it seems like. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm an idiot. So, I'm going to leave you with that. This has been Tuesday, September 15th. This has been fun getting back into this. This is a Chase Carter podcast concept, the Chase Carter concept podcast. Let me know what you guys think about it. Let me know if I'm losing my mind slowly but surely. I hope everyone has a good week. Thanks for listening. You got this shit knocking.